longer than the Soviet Union. After going to great lengths to enter the national leadership, but dedicated to bringing down the Soviet Union, disband the Communist Party. And this man was Yeltsin. He was the first president of Russia. It was also the improper to let, but they want to bring down this country. Why did Yeltsin do this? And how did he do it? Let's talk about it today. Yeltsin was Russian, born into an the family is extremely poor. So Yeltsin was a farmer. Why have you been Because there is a problem. Yeltsin's, how did the Soviet, just look at our country. After all, we are also referring to the Soviet Union. Confiscate apprentice. Deprivation of, Yeltsin's grandfather was like that. Even sent to other places. Finally, in addition, the composition of hometown can't stay, and they moved to Berezniki. Ready to however, as the family prepares for a new life, the Lee's father was taken away. The licking was awakened by her mother's crying. Looking at my trembling mother, she was restless and panicked. Maybe since then, she planted a seed of hatred in her heart. But what about hate? She is Yan Qing. How can I fight the vegan face alone? The licking can only choose to bear it. Swallow all the blood and tears. So in childhood, he had a really hard time. As the eldest son, every day you have to work. I have to take care of my. At the same time, the inequality of society. Forget about children. Even adults may not be able to survive. But at night, dear, the ambition is from a very young age. He made up his mind that no matter what, I must become a leader. We must get rid of such This ambition should be placed on, maybe it's just a distant ideal, but on the licking, because this guy is really strong. There's this urge to not give up until you get there. If you don't believe me, the licking bit the bridge of his nose. Do you know how the bridge of left by the group fight? I fought a lot as a, no matter how strong the how cruel. He never must fight to the end. He doesn't care. Yeltsin had only 3. And you know why? At the age of 12, it was World War. Yeltsin was curious. I just revealed a reason because I don't know how to make it. Tell the little friend to stay. Just smash the Wolf's head on it. No thought of the consequences at all. That's it. With a bang, Yeltsin lies in the snow. Lost 2 fingers for a. This shows how strong to achieve the goal. They don't even consider they're hated by such a person. Can the opponent get better? Let alone this person. Even Gorbachev was one of them. And where did this group of comrades come from? It was Stalin. Hercules delivered. It all started back in the 1950s. March 19, Stalin died suddenly. Due to the sudden death, the political arena has and you know the result. Hu Shaofu succeeded in ascending to the top. It's understandable to alter, but you know that when Hercules came, did you do something stupid? Total denial of February 19. He was at the Soviet, alleging that Stalin read offline. Personality cult. Direct and as soon as it was a major earthquake for the you know? The personality cult was, it's a national idol. God descends to earth. Now the successor suddenly says, those glorious images are fake. This guy's practically and despicable. Caused heavy. This is the who can stand it? It simply shakes the very. As soon as a large number of Communist Party members quit the party. Even many people. It is estimated that many people are strange. Why did Khrushchev put Stalin on the... What's in it for him? It can only be said that... But after all, how can you make the... Stalin was people as an enemy, hundreds of thousands of... Many of them were former colleagues. The political situation of relatives and friends. Can Khrushchev not walk on thin ice? And then resentment towards Stalin. That's why he will take power. Whipping Stalin. Expose his criticize their behavior. Condemn. However, but it shook the... After all, it wasn't the... And no one can check and balance. Originally only a few people knew. Just reform slowly. The result was Haruxial. Everyone on Earth knows. So many people began to think, was the Soviet system wrong? Multi-party governance like in the West. Would separation, especially the new... It's hard not to get confused, dissatisfied with... Yeltsin was one of them. He was 25 when it broke out. Just stepped into society. It is at a critical juncture. If life goes well, social stability, there is a upwardly patriot. If vice versa, then it's hard. Just their generation encountered the high-rise frame. Society was momentarily, so much so that I was the flame of, and it wasn't just Yeltsin and Gorbachev, the later leader of the Soviet Union, and millions upon millions of, when these people step in after taking over the power. How much do you think about the future? So when Gorbachev came to power in he began his journey of reform. He also promoted Yeltsin to a key position. After Yeltsin graduated, he works in the environment is good, but far from satisfying, because he wants to get to be a leader, to get rid of the shadow. So after work, joined the... It stands to reason, with a background. But how serious was the corruption in the Soviet Union? You've all heard about it. After looking for someone to operate secretly, really made him successful. This guy broke in. The speed of promotion is, by 1970, First Secretary of Love, proper enclosure of borders. However, for him, this is not the end. In 1985, Yeltsin became he officially entered, more than half a year later. Appointed as secretary, the apostle goes one step further. You could say that Yeltsin made it to the end. Gorbachev did a lot of good. Promotion first. Later, they also... But you think so? Yeltsin will be grateful. Nobody talks about it. Directly and publicly also attacked other conservatives. So big can't help but operate. Let his important position be. But did the Lickin give in? Nope. After a year as a he learned from the pain. Decided to seek a comeback from outside the system. He just happened to be in after Gorbachev's allowing and run as equals. Therefore, the tiger. Yeltsin used his started on TV, movie theater, to win the election. He start anti-privilege, anti-bureaucratic, and you promise to improve your house. Where has anyone else seen? This battle naturally made Yeltsin stand out. March 1st, elected people relying on Yeltsin returns, but this is just the beginning. For the licking. The Communist Party of the Soviet Union could kick him down again. To reduce this possibility, he will either become the other parties, or take Zyuganov down completely. No longer have the... You must know that Zyuganov has 50, 60 or 70 years. I want to fight such... It's not a fool's dream. But Yeltsin chose this path. Form a democratic platform. Committed to achieve the goal. He launched many call for a also exploiting, transforming. At the same time asked Gorbachev to open up the election metaphorically. The president of Russia can only be decided by voters. Gorbachev naturally agreed. After all, he was, even if dissatisfied with Yeltsin, we will not interfere with reform. So in March 1991, the Soviet Union allowing for the re-establishment. June of the same year, the Licking was elected. Moscow has a new capital. The situation. So here's the problem. When the two who should people listen to? And there's obviously been, because Yeltsin became president, the first order given. The communist. It cannot be found in. They have and engage in bright depth less than this conflict. Therefore, on August 19, Shugin's counter, led by Vice President Yeltsin of the Soviet Union, they staged a coup d'état, attempt to take over the country by it's a pit, not popular. Under the strong, just 2 days, the 1980, and then Yeltsin invited Gorbachev. Drop a booklet. Forcefully. What is written in the book? It's the minutes of the night. It is the face of Shugin's conservative forces. But Gorbachev didn't care. As he read, the Soviet Union eventually, it can be said, he could totally become the president of the Soviet Union. After all, at that time, more than 70% of it's not a big deal. But Yeltsin was unwilling. He hated the Soviet system. Signed the Bellow Pact after only 4 months in power. Officially, as everybody, improper leadership, but only when Russian President Yeltsin. Years after the massacre, Russian communist Zyuganov was born in. As the chairperson, I had a lot of dealings with Yeltsin. They looked up to him. In his opinion, the reason why it's because his mind, the injustice of childhood, confusion in the, add to that the peaceful, it corrupted the Licking's thinking, full of hatred for the Soviet Constitution, especially in after Yeltsin was elected. I have seen, and I came back to the material. It's very hard not to make. Therefore, Yeltsin's words, capitalism is thriving. America's ghetto. Better than the average house in the Soviet Union. Although it, but the Lee shouldn't have said that in public. Especially when it comes to the American media. And that's what he did. Just say, the other party has. So after the comeback, Yeltsin embraced the West. This is also intellectual corruption, plus the combination of interests. Yeltsin, especially his election views, is to treat the. If you go back to pick up Gorbachev's class, that would be a It's just a pity. Former superpower just disappeared into the torrent of history.